Welcome back. Bernie Sanders now securely leading the pack of Democratic candidates after a strong New Hampshire primary. So does the Democratic Socialist have a lead too big for the moderates to stop him? Joining me now to debate, founder of the Tea Party Patriots, Beth Martin, and Democratic strategist Kevin Walling. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Good morning,
we appreciate it. So Beth, I'll have you respond first of all. And as we bring up this poll that we were just talking about, 22% favor Bernie Sanders. Now, this was in the days leading up to the New Hampshire primary, so these numbers will probably change. He's followed by Joe Biden, who didn't fare so well in New Hampshire. Elizabeth Warren also not faring so well. Bloomberg, who wasn't even in New Hampshire. Buttigieg, and then Amy Klobuchar. So what's your take?
Well, we'll see what happens as we get through a few more contests. It's still very early, but Bernie Sanders clearly is the front runner right now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. The question that many people want to know is whether a moderate can stop Bernie Sanders. And my thought on that is that every Democrat who's running right now for the nomination on the Democrat side is not moderate. They are far leftist, radical leftist. They want amnesty for illegal immigrants. They want to increase taxes, increase government spending on programs like the Green New Deal, Medicare for All, which is single-payer government health care. That means the government controls our insurance. They want to reduce our Second Amendment rights. And every candidate on the very first debate stage back in Miami in June said they wanted taxpayer-funded health care benefits for illegal immigrants.
Kevin, let me get to Kevin quickly. Kevin, we've talked a lot about all of those different issues and how much they'll cost, trillions of dollars, trillions. And when you take a look at the final New Hampshire primary numbers, though, as we said, everyone knows 100% in now. Bernie landed in the lead there, followed very closely by Buttigieg. But the one candidate that a lot of folks are looking at saying that is the moderate that's left is Klobuchar. And Klobuchar's showing was a lot stronger than some folks thought. So is that an indication that the Democratic Party is looking for a moderate candidate?
Yeah, Heather, it's a good question. You know, when you talk to most Democrats in the primary field, they want someone who can beat Donald Trump. That's their number one concern. And if you look at the exit polling coming out of New Hampshire, more than half of primary voters made up their minds within the last 48 hours of the election. So clearly, Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota, was able to capture that spark and launch herself into third place. I'd note that Mayor Pete Buttigieg had a really strong night. But going into South Carolina, going into Nevada, our next contest, it's anyone's bet whether Bernie Sanders can expand on just the 25% he saw in Iowa and the 25% he saw in New Hampshire. I don't think that's a lot of strength. Of course, he won New Hampshire, but it's a question of addition and whether he can actually add to that quarter of Democrats that are firmly in his camp.
And also see if Biden can recover. You know, but in the meantime,
that's a very good point.
Yeah, in the meantime, nothing seems to be slowing down President Trump. We saw record turnout in both New Hampshire and Iowa in terms of his support. His momentum seems to be on a roll. Also, we can compare him to other incumbents in New Hampshire, and far and away, he beat all of them. 129,696 turned out for President Trump, voted for him. Look at these numbers compared to President Obama in 2012, 2004, Bush, Clinton, then Reagan. I'm just far and above. Beth, what do you think about that? Is that just an indication of things to come for President Trump?
Yes, I think it is an indication of things to come, and it's people saying, reminding the American public that we still stand by President Trump. And really, it's not just ardent Trump supporters who are doing this. The latest Gallup polling shows that Americans think that the economy is the strongest that it has been. They have the most confidence in the economy than they had since October of the year 2000. 6 in 10 Americans think they're better off financially than they were a year ago, and nearly 3/4 of Americans predict they'll be better off a year from now. And that's the highest it's been since 1977. Clearly, President Trump's policies are working, and Americans know it.
Kevin, how do Democrats run against that when you have 61% of people saying, yes, they are better off than they were 3 years ago?
Yeah, Heather, it's a good question. No doubt the president is in a strong position for re-election. But Democrats got to get back to the basics, as we saw in 2018 in the midterm elections. You know, in the last 3 years of this administration, nearly 2 million Americans have lost their health care insurance. On Monday, the president released a budget that would cut $2 trillion from Medicare and Medicaid over the next 10 years. So these are devastating cuts to the health care sector for most Americans in this country, and we can run and win, as we did in 2018, on the position of health care.
Yeah, well, we will see, because we have a long way to go. And if those numbers just continue to increase for President Trump, it'll be interesting to see what Democrats do. Kevin, Jenny, Beth, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather. Good to see you.
Thank you, Heather.
We'll be right back.